So one thing I do want to bring up is that you were posting pictures on Facebook, Christmas shopping or looking at Christmas decorations. We're at October 20th.
Look, I'm not like, this isn't a secret. I'm not like a real big religious guy and everything. Like, but like for me, Christmas, I think you can be like into holiday for like different reasons. Like, I just like the holidays. It doesn't have to equate to whatever. But and I've always been a big Christmas guy, and I married someone who like isn't at all. So my daughter and I were just out. We're like, the Christmas decorations are up. I'm like, oh shit. Like, let's get a selfie and send it to Leah. Oh,
wait, so was it real or was it just get under the skin of her?
Yeah, that was a get under the skin of Leah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious.
No.
I'm in the Christmas spirit.
I'm always like in the Christmas spirit. I'm not. Yeah, I'm that guy like that's like singing Christmas songs in the middle of like July and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about Christmas. I love Christmas. I've always like we're like 5 weeks away from me putting up decorations. Like
66 days till Christmas.
Yeah. See, I don't know why. I've always been a big Christmas guy. My dad is. Mom hates Christmas like Bahama. She spent her life in retail, so Christmas is the devil to retail employees because they don't see any time at Christmas home. So I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, it's like I'm you don't like Christmas?
No, I like Christmas, but I'm not ready for Christmas in the middle of October.
No, I understand, and that's why it pissed my wife off so much. Yeah, but
I'm literally not ready for Christmas until probably right after Thanksgiving.
See,
it takes me a minute.
But man, isn't that what's the coolest thing? That's like when sports like heats up.
Oh yeah.
Like you get to that thing, we've all been talking football for weeks, but like when you add in next week, you get basketball, NBA starting, college. I mean, when you get to like Thanksgiving to Christmas, it's just like a sports overload time of year. Like I'm worthless for like 8 weeks, man.
I'm ready though for sports overload.
Heck yeah!
Right now we have sports overload with the World Series, like huge Buckeye. I feel like they're huge Buckeye games 2 weeks in a row just because of the atmosphere
and night
games. Like I feel like we have 2 huge games in a row when really, we should have won. I thought we should have won a little more handily than we did last weekend. And I feel like we will this weekend.
Yeah,
but they still feel like huge games.
Absolutely. And just regarding the sports overload right now, we talked a little bit at the end of the last podcast that I haven't watched. I tuned out on the Reds early.
Oh yeah.
I've watched more postseason baseball this year than I think. I don't remember the last time I watched this much of it. I mean, I'm not watching maybe first pitch to 27th out, but it's on like I'm watching a football game and I'm flipping over every commercial break and I think the Cubs-Indians thing's fascinating. Like, if we get that as a World Series, man.
Oh, watch out ratings. No, but yeah, I've watched more this year too, mainly for the Cubs aspect of it for me. Being a Reds fan, I'm not real thrilled that the Indians made it to the World Series.
No, I think the only thing that I take away from like a team like the Indians doing it the way they have is they're the Reds as far as budget.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, that's a competent organization that didn't just build to be good. When the Reds got good, what they do, they started handing out $125 million contracts. Like, whoa, slow down.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
If they can do it, we can do it.
Because we don't. You don't need to. That's not how small market teams. God bless Joey Votto, and he was so good again this year. But small market teams don't build for long-term success by handing out $250 million contracts.
Right.
Like you've got to just cut your losses, understand, get the 3, 4, 5 years out of a guy, move on, and be breeding the next guy that's going to take his place. And the Indians are an example of that. The Cubs are the complete opposite. The Cubs are an example of just throw more money at it. And
they're the Yankees.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, that's the one thing about the way the Indians are doing it is that I love is that I'm like, Reds, learn from that. These are just kids. And then their owner said after the game last night, I was watching the post game, and he said, this team's built to win for a long time. Like, it's not like, yay, we did it, and then like the Marlins used to, and then they disband the whole team. Like the Indians are like, we're just going to keep doing this. And then when a guy has to go because his contract's too big, he has to go.
Right. Well, that comes with the GM.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all GM because the owner's fine with it. You're not going to spend a ton of my money? Cool. Like, yeah, the owner's going to be fine with it.
So I'm rooting for the Cubs to get there.
It's going to be weird being a Reds fan to watch a Cubs Indians World Series. Who do I root for? I don't know if root's the right word for me either way. Just I think that's the series that the whole country wants.
Right.
Dodger fans are like, hey, dude, like what about us? But
any team with a guy who gets his pinky finger nearly chopped off by a drone. I gotta respect that a little bit.
Dude, he was bleeding like a stuffed pig. He just dripping off his hand.
He made Kurt Schilling's ankle look like it just needed a Band-Aid.
Yeah, and Tito said they asked him when he knew that he wasn't going to be able to continue to pitch, and he said, "Well, when I walked out and I saw blood on the rubber, I was like, I think he's probably done." I was like, well, that's probably a good sign.
He said he thought about cauterizing it. You got to cauterize. You know how freaking tough you got to be to cauterize your own flesh wound.
And then they sent a 15-year-old out to pitch last night, and his second start in his career in the biggest stage of all, 2 hits for 5 innings or whatever. Like, yeah, man,
it's amazing. It's an awesome storyline. Yeah. That's for sure.
Go Cleveland. Yeah. All together, just the city.
I just want to look at your beer here. I know you're drinking Commodore Perry, but I can't remember the ABV on this thing. I know it's got to be up there. And the only reason I'm pointing that out is so that all our listeners will understand if the conversation gets a little off topic by the end.
Yeah, but it's my first one. Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's right up here. We got 7.5.
7.7. Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm going with a weak domestic light beer.
Yeah.
Just because, it's 4:30.
But it's afternoon.
That is a really good beer. That's one of the first IPAs I ever had, and I think
and I gotta, it's just kind of a topic we talked about, possibly talking about, in between. We talk a lot of sports, which is kind of what we watch a lot of, so we know. But I take pride in the fact that we also drink a lot of beer. So
very proud of that.
Very proud of that. So. You introduced me. It's been a year or two, a couple years. I started drinking IPAs specifically. I mean, I've tried other stuff, but man, I've gravitated towards give me IPAs and all kinds of them. I want them all. And we were talking about what's our opinion on beer snobs? I'm not I don't think I am, but what do you think is a beer snob in the negative connotation?
Ooh, that's tough. For me, the only negative connotation that would go along with a beer snob would be a beer snob who doesn't know what he's talking about. Someone who thinks they're a beer snob but really doesn't.
That's yeah.
Because I feel like anyone who's an actual beer snob and knows what they're doing, right, they're pressuring brewers to make better beers.
Okay, yeah. So you hate the Michigan fan that doesn't know anybody on the roster.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah. well, see, and I, you and I have talked about this several times. That I like beer. For me, I don't consider myself a beer snob because I can sit here and drink a Bud Light with you. I ain't choking down a Natty Light. I mean, those days are gone. I make money now. I have a live. I make a living. So, but. I can drink any beer, but they have different purposes. I couldn't drink this 7.7% alcohol all day watching football, so I can get a Bud Light. I've always had the negative connotation of the beer snob as the guy that if he came to your party and all you had was Bud Light, I'm not today. It's water or cranberry juice for me. That's the beer snob to me. The douchebaggery level that you reach, that you're I couldn't even bring myself to drink your lowly beer when they're not even the same product. Admittedly, they're not.
Right.
It's a water with some alcohol in it versus a beer.
Right.
But
rice versus grains.
Okay.
That's kind of where it comes from. But. Hey, more power to that guy if he can make it through the day drinking those things. He can be all the beer snob he wants to be.
I got a buddy that owns a bar, and he hates the dude that walks in and asks, like, there's parodies about it online, but these guys really exist, where they walk in and they rattle off, so do you have this thing brewed by Belgian monks in 1837 that's been aged in a cast iron pot for, like the most obscure thing, and the guy's like, I have like Bud Light and like I've got a few IPAs on tap over here. You want to try one of those? No, I'm looking for a specific beer. Well, I'm sure you've got to have it. Those people irritate because I don't think they give a good name to people who like good beer. I think they give they just make it look like we're just douches. Like
I volunteered at a beer festival, and I actually got. I was gonna say I got stuck, but no, I got lucky, and I had the beer that I had to pour was an actual beer made by Belgian monks. Swear to God. And the line for this beer was at least 10 to 15 deep until it ran out. And
it could be great.
I got a mix of people that wanted to ask me about the beer. And I honestly had no idea. I had no background on this beer. So I had people asking me about it. I had people trying to engage me in conversation about it. So, I would say that the people that were obviously snobbish about it were the people that I would rather not associate with.
And I think, you know what? I think that's probably the point. I don't think those guys would be our friends. I always joke that they're the ones with, they have, no offense, big beards and they wear scarves.
I didn't have this beard last podcast.
Maybe even a Charles Woodson ascot. Like, it's very possible that's kind of what they're dressing in. They give us it hurts me. But now that I've become a real beer drinker and good beer drinker, they bug me more than they did when I wasn't.
Right.
Because
that makes sense.
It's just like, you give us a bad name. No, I just like good beer. It tastes good. I enjoy it.
You don't want to be associated with the type of people that piss you off.
Correct. Yes.
Absolutely. No, I get that. But for, I listen to some brewing podcasts and some beer review podcasts, and I know that, those guys are actual beer snobs who, they went through the classes, and I think those guys are progressing the, the micro brewery industry.
Love that.
Even further.
And
so
I love that.
I dig. The hipster beer snob persona drives me insane.
Yeah. And I love the hipster beer snob, almost like how they became like, there was that little phase where they like even left the good beers and they were like, we would like to find your red, white, and blue or your Pabst Blue. Like, okay, so now we became such douche that we said the craft brews everybody's doing that now. So I want the beers that were made in 1972 again.
I want the worst beer I can find.
It's just what a weird culture.
In about 2008, Jay's here in Salina would have like $1 beer nights for Pabst. And I just want to say that I was there drinking Pabst in 2008 before this hipster thing.
You've had like some stomach medical issues, like I know since then as well. So I don't know if they're related. Maybe not.
I have a steel stomach.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you brought up Charles Woodson, and I don't know if you follow the basketball coach of our former high school, our alma mater.
Oh,
Do you follow him on
Coach
Twitter?
Furrow, you know what? I don't.
Okay,
no reason. I just don't.
So he's on Twitter, and he I don't know how I thought of this, relating this to Charles Woodson, but he puts up these pictures, and he says, you never know where you're going to find yourself. One day he might be on a bike ride in our hometown. The next day it might be on a picture from his vacation. Last weekend he put up a picture of him on the set of Game Day, with the Game Day crew, and Des Bryant in there. So I replied.
You mean Des Howard?
Des Howard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Sorry.
That would have confused people.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was fantasy.
We're there. We're getting there too, yeah.
But so Des Howard, and I replied, you couldn't get Des to sit this picture out. So my question is, if you're on the set of Game Day, that's a pretty big deal. That'd be pretty flippin' sweet.
Heck yeah.
You're on the set of Game Day, and you get up there and you're like, hey, can I get a picture with the crew? Would you have the balls to say, hey, Des, I'm from Ohio. I'm an Ohio State fan. Do you think you can sit this one out?
I don't think I could, and not for the reason you might think. It's his house. You know, like game day, like that's my like. That'd be like me, like you coming into my house and being like, "Hey, I want a picture," you know, like with your kids, and you know, Leah, Kurt, like get out. Like I mean, like so you know, the game day set, like it's his house. So I don't know if I could do it for that reason. I'd want to.
Would you feel like you have the responsibility as an Ohio State fan?
You know what? If I was gonna like get the picture taken and then tweet it, I'd have to have something to say.
You gotta have something clever to say.
Right, right. So as long as if you can still wear your Buckeye, you know, you still wear your Buckeye pride as long as you tweet that with a very, very derogatory comment of some sort about Desmond Howard. I mean, or just better yet, strike the Heisman pose next to him. And then like tweet something about how we have a lot more of these than you. But you got to, yeah, you'd have to do something. But I don't know. I mean, it's his house. Like that's I don't know. That's maybe why.
I don't know what I'd do either. I mean, I saw that picture and I was like, man, what do you do as a Buckeye fan? I remember one time I went up to the Ohio State Michigan basketball game in Ann Arbor and got there like way ahead of way before the game. I was got to talk to some of the players and when the Michigan players were leaving the court for warm-up, we were standing on the edge and, a bunch of Michigan fans were getting five and stuff. We were just standing there. And, so I stuck my hand out like I was going to give Jamal Crawford, a high five. And when he went to give me five, I gave him the old pulled it back.
You did?
Oh yeah.
I never known this story. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Man,
so I
like that.
I psyched out Jamal Crawford.
That's really gangsta of you. That's awesome. Good work.
So anyway, hopefully maybe Hoop Fro can listen to the podcast and weigh in on how he chose to make the decision to let Dez be in the picture.
Yeah. I think Coach, I think everybody just called him that.
Just Coach.
But I think he just appreciates all athletes, and I think he'd give you the political answer of I was Desmond Howard, but you and me probably a little more passionate about I don't know, man, I could be wrong. I mean he was a educator around us, so I mean he had to act a little different. Right. Maybe in an honest moment he might I don't know.
That guy made me do more push-ups in gym class than I did anything else.
Oh yeah. Man, I remember, he used to we played a game in gym where you throw the football full length, a small football full length into a basketball hoop.
Oh, dude, he was money.
Yeah, man, it was mind blowing to me. The things that he was little things he was good at that you're like, well, where did that come from? And you'd shoot, or you'd be in there. He's a basketball coach, so you might expect it. But we'd play basketball in there, and as soon as the ball would come off your hand, he'd say short, left, right. I mean, it was just mind blowing how quick he was. He knew basketball. He's a great coach.
Yeah,
as evidenced by the success or lack thereof of the program since he left. I'm just saying,
No, I get it.
Yeah, but so first, also I wanted to just make sure we probably have to admit we were wrong about something. The Tiger.
Oh, I have that in my notes right here. I was actually looking at it.
I wrote a big oops. Right, what?
Mine says Tiger, and with a little drawn sad face next to it.
We were man, we came hard and in that last podcast about Tiger's back, and we withdraw. Man, I don't know. Do you think it? Just your gut. Obviously, we're not as plugged in as we think we were. Our connections are not as good as we had hoped. But your gut feeling. Do you think 2017 we're going to be fine, or do you think this indicates a larger problem?
He came out, announced his foundation yesterday or the day before. I really don't know. After getting so psyched up for his return, I was pretty confident that he must have felt like he was going to play well, and to withdraw.
I thought even if his game wasn't there, he'd let himself go there, struggle or maybe I don't know, but just prove to the world that the swing's back. He has no idea where it's going yet. Maybe that. I thought maybe that would be the way he'd. I don't know. For him to just withdraw, I hope it was just state of his game and not, that hurt when I swung the other day. And that's all I'm hoping that wasn't the case. But.
That's what's throwing me so far off. I feel like if you're physically well enough,
right?
Pretty good amount of time in advance.
Yeah.
So
I would too. I think that. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But I was hoping before we flip the calendar that we might see him once. But
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But he talked about winning another major on Charlie Rose this week. So
well, we'll hope. I mean, that's all I can do is hope. Golf needs him. We already we covered that.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I was trying to pull up some trending Twitter topics. Maybe we could have some fun going over those. But to show my ineptitude, I don't know how to pull up the trending Twitter topics on the app.
No kidding.
No, I switched to iPhone recently, and I don't know how to do it.
This is new for you. Wow, man.
It's under notifications.
There you go. There's your trending topics. See, you know what? You come over here. It's this crazy place for it, but that's where it's at.
That is a pretty crazy place for it.
Yeah.
So let's see here.
Wow, you're like this. I mean, I have a nice list of stuff, but I like this curveball. This is good. Like we're just gonna pick something, and we're gonna find out if Kurt knows anything about it.
We're just winging it.
Well, I always say my knowledge. It's like a mile wide and an inch deep. So I'm hoping like you can come at me with something and I can come up with something relatively coherent about.
So they're pretty lame, actually. Progressive field.
And one of the things that I don't like that Twitter did recently, everything when you use Twitter app and you're looking for the trending topics, it's regionalized now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I'm not a big fan of. Because if you're watching a game and you hit that, it'll be. Like if the Reds are on, it'll be like all red stuff. The Buckeyes are on, so I really you kind of lose that international thing of trending. Yeah. So Twitter, if you're listening, could you give us the option to still have the international trending topics listed as well, maybe separately from our regional ones?
Yeah, put them both up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're trying to get away with trending topics using moments, but. Coming from Android, I didn't even use the official Twitter app. I used a third-party app, so I'm not used to this. But anyway, here's one kind of related. Yeah. Here's one kind of related to what we talk about a lot. Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden is trending on Twitter. Let's see, inactive today. This was the trending topics are from 4 days ago.
Well, the thing about Joe, if it's getting to the point where. He might be, cause my next topic was going to be the Bengals Browns. So this is good. It's good.
Sweet.
So, Joe's been a guy. Like I know him. I'm calling him first name basis Joe.
You think it goes by Joe or Hayden? Or Hades?
Probably JH.
JH. Head dog. Hade dog.
Yeah. Whatever.
J dog.
Call him what you want.
You call him Joe anyway. Go on.
But you're the one that's a gangster. So, it's getting to the point with him. First of all, I think the league. The league thinks he's overrated. The opposing coaches they throw at him more than any number one cornerback would ever get thrown at. Like I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of times that they throw at him. He gets beat, he falls down. And secondly, it's not a daily injury report from practice if Joe Hayden isn't on it. And it's starting to get to the point where. Man, don't you? Maybe it's time to move on from Joe. Like I'll get into my bigger picture stuff later, but I'm not sure he's bringing enough to the table right now to make the big deal about him.
I can't argue with that because I was just about to say, listen, if you got AJ Green on your fantasy team, regardless of whether or not Joe Hayden's playing, play him.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
And other defensive coordinators around the league will tell you the same thing.
I wouldn't have been as nice as you about it. I would have said, let's get rid of Joe Hayden.
Yeah, and it upset. He's such a good guy. He's amazing for Cleveland. He reminds me a little bit of the way Kevin Love has taken to Cleveland since they got there. Yeah. Like walking around in Indians gear, like they are at all the Joe's at all the Cavs games. Love goes to Indians games. I mean, like when these guys that aren't from this area come in and integrate themselves in the community, like Joe, you root for him. But the media talks about how amazing he is. He's a top 5 corner, and it's obviously. Opposing offensive coordinators don't feel the same way.
I don't feel that way as a Browns fan.
But that brings me to like the bigger picture point about the Browns. Joe Hayden, whether he's a part of the future or not, I don't know. But I posed a question on Twitter to all my followers, like both of them. Sunday as I was watching, the Bengals are 2-4. We got the Battle of Ohio this week. Browns are 0-6. I would bet again the educated Bengals fans, not the ones that all of a sudden the gear came back out in 2008 when they started winning games again, but like real Bengals fans that understand football, know their roster. I would buy Cleveland Browns stock right now way faster than I would buy Cincinnati Bengals stock. We have, in my case, is real simple. Young, talented roster, no wins yet, but young, talented roster, Hugh Jackson, and a committed ownership to this program, with asterisk as long as we stay committed,
right?
Versus roster that's coming outside of its window to win, a Marvin that is
completely unproven.
And Mike Brown as your owner. So, I mean, do you think it's outside the realm of possibility to think that the Browns, right now, the Cleveland Browns are a better situation, not for 2016, but for the future than the Bengals are?
I'm so biased. I don't know that I can answer that question.
I know.
I want to answer, but I can't separate my hate for the Bengals to say that. And it's more about my hate for the Bengals than it is about my love for the Browns. Yeah. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but
interesting stat that I saw, the Browns are averaging more yards, more points, more average yards per carry, more average receiving yards per pass play than the Bengals.
Really? I would have never guessed that.
Blew my mind, but that just tells you the Bengals, maybe they've left their window. And guess who the number one leading receiver in the NFL is? The guy they let go to Detroit, Marvin Jones.
Jones.
Yeah,
Where's Sanu go?
Sanu's at Atlanta.
That's right.
So they let Sanu go and Jones go, thinking, we'll be fine. We'll just fill the gap. The leading receiver in the league is now in Detroit, and they can't make anything happen down there. They haven't scored 24 points in 6 straight games in the Cincinnati Bengals offense.
They're stagnant for sure.
Hugh Jackson, the offensive coordinator, is now the Browns head coach. Mike Zimmer is the Vikings head coach. Maybe they were an assistant coach product, and they're left with Marvin Lewis at this point, and things don't look so good.
I mean, I don't know that we should be surprised by that based on their playoff performance.
Right. But they've always been they've been so good. They put up ridiculous stats through the regular seasons the last 4 years. It got to the point where you heard all the countdown crews talking about how that's a Super Bowl team. That's a Super Bowl team.
But can you recall even the regular season, the last big game they won during the regular season was?
Not really. I mean, you didn't. Yeah, because I felt like this week when they were playing the Patriots, I watched pretty much the whole game. Felt like a foregone conclusion.
Oh yeah.
I didn't feel like the Bengals have a chance to win this game.
Even after Cincinnati went out and scored away, it was like it's not going to happen for them.
They got pissed off Tom Brady. He's like that's his nickname for the rest of the year. Pissed off Tom Brady all year long.
And honestly, if they get in a close game, my money's on Burfict blowing it with some ridiculous penalty. That's where I'm going. You guys can be as close as you want until their last minute of the game, and Burfict's going to blow it for you.
The guy's just a loose cannon. And I think it says something about the leadership of that, where that program is, where the ownership is, you got to cut this guy. And there's no talk of that. They came out. Marvin Lewis defended him today when he was given the fine. I think it was a good football play from a linebacker. And Ray Lewis, who, of all people, I was watching Fox Sports.
Don't tell me Ray Lewis said
I was watching Colin Cowherd this morning, and Stabby Ray Lewis came out and said, this guy has problems. He came right. He said this guy's not right. Something's wrong with him mentally. And I'm going, what?
You stabbed a dude.
When Ray Lewis turns on a man and tells him you crazy, so I don't understand. I think it speaks something to your locker room that we don't have a standard here.
Right. No, I totally agree.
And I think they're clinging to. guys, we got to win. And if we don't win, we're all going to get fired. And he's a good player, which no argument. When he's not stupid, he's a good player.
Dude, I would put him up against Von Miller.
But he cancels out. Like in that Pittsburgh playoff game, he had a great game and canceled it all out in one play.
Single-handedly.
The whole game in one play. And you can't send the message to your team that this is okay. At some point you got to say, you know what? We're looking to build a team with some character. I don't know. I feel like they're enabling this kind of stuff by just continuing to defend him.
Right.
He'll be in the lineup again this week and just keep playing. And
I mean, they obviously hold on to people for too long.
Oh yeah. Or they get cocky and think AJ Green can sit over here by himself and Sanu and Jones, who they should have re-signed. They're hurt. That's hurting Andy Dalton a ton. Like when you take those weapons away, yes, AJ Green's going off for 150. He had a big game earlier this year. Was it almost 300 yards or whatever he had? But you know, other teams are like, you know what? He's it. Like I'm not worried about anything over here. And they got a little cocky. Like they felt like this offense had reached the point where it was plug and play. With whatever you want to, whoever you put in, it's going to play that role. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Man, they look rough.
And you know, kind of changing topics a little bit. And speaking of struggling passing games, you know, I want to talk a little bit about Ohio State.
Yeah.
In terms of our struggling passing game, I think it's a serious concern that we got to get fixed, or else we're going to lose a game.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
I mean, I know the competition isn't real strong, you know, but we do have that Michigan game coming up. Michigan State, you know, despite their inability to beat Indiana,
they're in bad shape. I love it.
You go to East Lansing, and can't throw the ball. They're just going to put 11 guys on the line and get to us.
Here's how I'm not. I try to take my scarlet glasses off every now and again. I don't feel like with this offense that we're seeing a talent issue or a skill issue. Like these guys are as good as they looked against Oklahoma, but there's something just. One of the things that I noticed as I was watching the Wisconsin game, and even the week before, JT, who I have no question. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he came out in this game and threw for a ridiculous number of yards, 6 touchdowns, and everything's fine. But one of the things that JT sometimes feels like he gets, those feet get a little happy. And the throws get a little high. The first half, we weren't getting a lot of separation at the receiver position, but some of the throws that I was sitting there going, that's not JT Barrett throw. That's not the way he throws the football.
He had a couple of badly thrown balls, but you know he also had 2 receivers drop passes.
He did.
In the end zone.
Yeah, you're right.
In the first half, and.
Is that where you think that we always said even before the season when you and I were sitting here talking, they're young. Are some of these stages going to get a little bit scary? Like the moment's a little big. That you know maybe that doesn't happen 2 weeks in a row. I don't know. I refuse to believe while Oklahoma isn't the national championship caliber team we thought they might be,
right.
I don't believe what we saw in Norman in a night game was a complete aberration.
No, I don't either. And the youth is my concern because I think you get in a negative groove, it's hard to get out of.
Yeah, and I think that's why part of the second half was so important that they got some rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of those throws that he threw on a dime.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to the one to Dontre Wilson down that sideline that, I mean, like that was one of the best throws. I mean, nobody's talked about that all week, which is crazy. They talk about all the other stuff that happened in that game, the 20 carries by JT. But that throw to Dontre Wilson on that little route down that, I don't know if the wheel route, I think it was a wheel route that he ran down out of the backfield. That throw was – and the catch was equally impressive. But it's all there. But yeah, I share your concern, the youth-wise. But I think the key there, we've also got to make sure our running game's got to maintain control of the game to open up that passing game. We've been a little slow the last few weeks.
We talked about that.
We were a 7 or 8 yard a carry running game last year. We were a 7 or 8 yard a carry running game the first 3-4 weeks of this year. And now we've been putting ourselves early on in games into 3rd and 6s. And I know it's early, and we eventually do wear that front 7 down. But when the whole first quarter of all these last 3-4 games, we've been 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7.
It reminds me of Jim Tresselball.
A little bit, yeah, yeah. And
having to make these huge adjustments at halftime, to me, that's what Jim Tressel did best.
Sure.
He would come out for the whole first half, and he didn't care if it was still 0-0, but he knew what was going to go on in the second half and made some pretty good adjustments. And I feel
and it's right. And part of me thinks maybe Urban Meyer knows something we don't.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
Well, I know. I mean, I think Urban might actually know this team. He's not saying it isn't good enough to be what it could be this year, and they're too young, they're too inexperienced, and he has this coaching staff. He believes he can adjust his way to a national championship kind of run, like he did what Greg Schiano and Luke Fickell did at halftime of that game. That was one of the most. I mean, the offense turned around, which was great to see us go down. But what that defense did in that second half, that one drive excluded. But aside from that, I didn't recognize the aggressive defense we watched.
They should have got the game ball.
Oh my God!
They should have got the game ball. That was awesome.
I don't know. Sometimes I think Urban disguises weaknesses of a team really well through adjustments. He might know in his mind this receiving core is not good enough yet to be a national champion. So I have to adjust my way through games, lean on JT for 20 carries, which frightens the hell out of me, by the way. But I don't know. It's a security blanket. He's said it before, but dude, that quarterback run. But I don't know. I share your concern. I do think if you smash Penn State this week, and anybody comparing Wisconsin to Penn State, people are saying, "Oh, it's just as scary of a team." No, it's not. That Wisconsin team is I underestimated that defense. That is a good defense.
I wrote off their DBs way too soon.
Man, I thought their offense. I thought the 11 Dubcast put it well. The quarterback Hornibrook played out his ass. Like some of the throws he was making. Come on, he won't make those this week, and we'll all be watching Wisconsin game going, where was that shit?
Right.
Like and he played out his ass. But that defense, they're just stout. They're faster than I thought they were. They're solid. Like you can't run right up the gut on them. They don't let you do it. In Penn State, they have like 6 injured starters. They're playing walk-ons at their line back at all 3 levels of their defense. I don't have any belief that this is going to be a close game.
I don't either.
And if it's a close game, I'm not going to buy what Urban Meyer says after the game of it was a big win for us.
No.
It was a big. If this is a close game, we lose 2 this year. In my mind, that's how my mind. This should not be a close game. The talent level is hugely different.
The Wisconsin defense was so flipping good, and I had no idea they were that fast. No, and that's what happens when you not that them being good is what happens, but them playing their best is what happens when you have a target on your back.
Yeah, I mean, we always get everybody's best.
Right, and then you forget that whenever you go somewhere, you're going to be watching a game where the other team has a target as your back as their target.
But in the defense of you for not thinking they were that fast, there's a lot of people. Think of who they played. I thought they were a product of opponent. They played LSU, Michigan, and Michigan State, who play everything between the tackles right at them. And I was like, that plays right into their defense's hands. They're slow. I mean, I always said they're a slow defense, but if you run right between the tackles at them, they're going to look great. I thought we spread out the field. That would be a problem for them, and it turns out that wasn't a problem for them. They are fast, but there was no reason to take from the 3 opponents that they beat that oh my gosh, they can for sure stop a spread. They're really fast. No, right. I mean Michigan. I think while we can all disagree maybe on the level of good they are, they don't make any. I mean, they are what they are. They're going to play between the tackles, and if you stop them between the tackles, I bet you win.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. If you stop them between the tackles, I don't think Spate's beating you with 300 yards passing. It's just my gut.
No.
But.
He may be getting better, but he's not getting that good. I almost wrote off listening to jazz music ever again because that jazz kid Just kept making plays and making plays. I was like, never. I'm done with Miles Davis.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
That kid was tearing it up. And he was talking about it, too. That's what was really making me mad.
I was getting so pissed off with, and credit to Paul Christ, that he used those 2 weeks better than I've ever seen a coach. I mean, a lot of Buckeye fans sometimes get mad when they hear a coach say post-game like Urban did. They ran like all kinds of formations we didn't see on film. And at Buckeye fans, you hear him say things like, well, you should have been ready. You should have adjusted quicker. That's not how this works. In the NFL, you get endless practice time, endless film time. You're limited to 20 hours a week in college. All you can prepare for is what another team shows you. And I watched that Wisconsin team, and I'm not a coach. And for that first quarter and a half of football, I'm going, I've never seen them do that.
Right.
I've never seen them run that play. I've never seen them line up that way. There's something to that. And he was so good in that by using those 13 days he had to prepare for us, he literally walked out there with an offense we didn't recognize, and our defense had to adjust to it. And it was that was as good of a job of coaching for an opponent that you are not as good as you could ever see in college football.
Yeah, it was impressive. So, yeah, we'll see what this weekend holds.
I'm going to go 42-10, and so I want to make sure that's on record right now. But
right.
I think it's going to be ugly.
I guess if we're making predictions, I'm going to go, I'm going to say 49-7.
Yeah, nice.
I'm going to go a little further than you. But we'll see.
Barkley's the only way that team scores, in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
McSorley's not running Penn State to a win. That's all Barkley. So.
Yeah. So what else do we need to cover?
Well, this morning I was off work today. So I decided, I just thought, maybe talking to you a little bit. You're a parent. We both have 2 kids. We have 1 girl. We have 1 boy. Yeah. I'm you know me. I'm kind of a clean freak. I have an OCD problem, like borderline medical issue. And I just wanted to ask you, I want to make sure I'm not the only parent. Like, we decided on my day off, we're gonna go clean some kids' rooms, some closets out.
But you were clean.
Yeah.
The kids weren't involved.
No, they were at school. Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's the only way this is ever gonna happen.
All right.
Why are there so many mystery sticky substances? Why are there so many unexplainable odors? What is it about? Like, I don't remember this as a kid. Were we this? Like, do you experience this? Like, everything was sticky. Every single thing in these 2 rooms that. Or you don't do it, do you?
I do.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We're pretty strict about taking anything that can become a sticky mess outside of the kitchen.
Well, see, but that's just it. And, that would be a good explanation if it was food.
Oh, what the heck was it?
Honest to God, there is a couple shelves. We have a little shelving thing that Colt's got. Colt puts his baseball gloves here, his balls here, his football down here. And there's a bottom shelf. And there was a bottle of hand lotion sideways laying down. And the whole thing had been smeared into. Like, what's going through a kid's head? Like what are they doing? Like, it smelled amazing, but as the parent in me went, well, this is a nice change of pace. That at least what I'm cleaning up smells.
Yeah,
like.
You got pretty lucky there.
Parenting, I feel like, can be summed up in one phrase. What the hell did I just put my hand in? Like, that's how I feel about parenting.
I had this over the weekend. On my honey-do list was, the kids should have dry erase paint painted on their wall. So I got to do that this weekend. So I painted part of a wall with that dry erase paint and a whole door. It was finally ready. You have to give it like 3 days to set up after you paint it. And finally ready to use. Very strict instructions. Don't go out of this huge white square on the gray wall.
That's not hard.
It's a 5 foot by 4 foot square. It's huge. Anything you want to write, you could write the Constitution.
Sure.
The Declaration of Independence would fit in this square. Twice probably. And a whole door. I'm not even mentioning the door. The first thing that they did was go to another room and write on the wall with a dry erase marker.
Holy crap.
I didn't specify you have to stay in this room on this white square. I just said this white square in this room.
But it's implied. They've got to know that it's implied.
I would think when I was 5 years old and 3 years old, I would have understood that.
You were brilliant when you were 4 or 5. I have no question that you would have known that. I just had to ask because I feel like I need to have some positive reinforcement that I'm not the my kids aren't the only ones. I continued to be surprised as I pull more things out. Is this alive? Is there were like
was it alive at one point?
Or was it alive at a point? I don't know when some of the things that were upstairs even happened. I couldn't wrap my head around. Maybe your kids had something to do with some of those things. I don't even know.
I would be surprised if they didn't.
Maybe your son is the reason that I cleaned up hand lotion. I have no idea. It's very possible. Did he smell really good one night when you took him home?
Not that I remember.
Oh, okay. He probably never smells really good.
No. Was it like plumeria or?
It was like a coconut.
Oh.
So if you get in your car right now when you leave, if you smell coconut, then you'll know.
I'll let you know.
Explains that.
I'll let you know. I can ask them about it. They usually fess up pretty quick.
He'll be really honest.
They'll probably remember.
You find out. Hey, did you spread any hand lotion all over Kurt's shelf at his house? Oh.
Yeah, but the dry erase thing infuriated me.
And you did this what day?
What day did I paint it?
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Oh man, you were busy this weekend.
Oh my god!
But it's a good weekend to be. It wasn't a great football weekend. I mean, the Buckeye game was incredible, but
right.
But it was a night game. It wasn't over till like 4 a.m. So
I'm like torn on the night games. I love the atmospheres.
Yeah.
It's prime time, but man, I have a hard time staying up that late.
See, I don't have any the big issue for me is I don't want to be an 8 o'clock game on a day full of shit games.
Right.
Like that, and that's if you're gonna make me the 8 o'clock game, but I get to watch good stuff leading. And you know what? And last Saturday was supposed to be that way. I was so fired up for that the Alabama-Tennessee game halftime blowout.
I thought Tennessee was for real.
Yeah.
So was
I. If I can make it the whole day about football, and we are at 8 o'clock, and the games are really good. Awesome, but it is such a different feeling when that clock's ticking because by 4:45 I'm sitting here going, come on, let's get to the game, and I want to be fully engaged in those 3:30 games up until ours is about to kick off. And it was a bad weekend. It was a bad football weekend.
I kind of decided that when we play at night, I'm going to dedicate less of my Saturday to watching football and try to get some stuff done. Leading up to the game, maybe not watch any noon games.
Yeah, we get to the point now where the noon games all stink on
Right.
purpose because college football knows that it's like it is outside right now. When you get to this time of year, so they know people start moving inside, and the noon games become the garbage, while the 3:30, 5:30, 7, 8, those games become really, really good. And
I'm trying to discipline myself to do that, to get some stuff done on Saturdays. And then, frees up some time to watch more football on Sundays.
And there's that. The Battle of Ohio this week. We'll debrief that next week.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to be impossible to be around if the Browns beat the Bengals this week.
Oh.
If you're a Bengal fan, don't talk to me for a couple weeks because I might laugh at you in your face because of what's happened to your arrogant franchise and your terrible leadership and your terrible ownership. And my team 1-6 and up and coming. I'm telling you. I wouldn't trade places with the Bengals as a Browns fan.
All right. What's your prediction? Are you that confident?
Yes, I'm more because Cody's playing. He's our franchise. I'm telling you,
hurt?
franchise. He's the
Hurt
future. He's playing. He's playing.
He's playing. Is he hurt?
He's great. He's great. out there, all of you, listen. If you have a kid in the next year, name him Cody. Cody Kessler is going to be the next NFL franchise quarterback. He is the future quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. The Hall of Fame begins now for Cody Kessler. Name your kids Cody. Yep.
Score. What's the score?
All right, I'm just doing it. Terrell Pryor is going to play despite the hamstring issue. And he's going to score 2 more touchdowns, and we're winning that game 24-13. Cleveland Browns get their first win, 24-13, this week, Battle of Ohio. Woof, woof.
I'm saying 24-21 Cleveland.
It's happening. It's going to happen. Awesome, man. See you next week.
See ya.
We'll have some good stuff to talk about.